Over 2,000 years ago, Pyrrho of Elis taught that every belief about reality could be doubted, and therefore, we should suspend judgment entirely. For Pyrrho, peace of mind lay not in answers, but in embracing uncertainty. Amen. I don't know, but if we never commit to true or false, can we ever act with conviction? Centuries later, Sextus Empiricus catalogued every argument for and against truth's sensory illusions, conflicting testimonies, endless regress. His outlines of Pyrrhonism dismantle certainty piece by piece. If our senses deceive and our reason loops, he asked, where is firm ground? The skeptic stands on shifting sands. Fast forward to the 17th century, when René Descartes embarked on a radical experiment. Doubt everything that could be doubted, from senses to mathematics to the very existence of the world. In the crucible of doubt, he found one indubitable flame. I think, therefore I am. But even this certainty emerges from thought alone. Does it conquer doubt, or merely postpone it? Today, neuroscience and AI pose new riddles. If our brains generate experiences, could they all be simulations? Virtual reality experiments show how easily perception can be fooled. Machine learning uncovers biases we didn't know we held. The question resurfaces: if our own minds betray us, can we trust any knowledge claim at all? In response, some propose pragmatic epistemologies. We may never attain absolute certainty, but we judge beliefs by practical success. Science works, not because it's infallible, but because it reliably predicts phenomena. Perhaps knowing isn't about reaching final truths, but about navigating uncertainty with tools that serve our goals. David Hume challenged the foundation of science itself. We infer laws from past observations to predict the future, but what justifies our belief that tomorrow will mirror yesterday? Every white swan we see strengthens our confidence, yet a single black swan shatters it all. This problem of induction, Hume warned, means our most cherished generalizations stand on fragile, ever-shifting ground. Kant answered Hume with the philosophical revolution, the Copernican turn. He argued that knowledge isn't just imposed by the world on us. Our mind actively shapes experience through a priori forms, space, time, and categories of understanding. Yet if every perception passes through the lens of our own faculties, do we glimpse the thing in itself, or only our own mental projections? John Stuart Mill drew a distinction between the certainty of direct experience and the abstractions of pure reason. We may debate concepts in theory, but only sight, touch, taste, smell, and sound deliver unmediated knowledge. Still, senses can deceive us, reminding us that even experience, our most trusted guide, dances on the edge between belief and certainty. Quine and Duhem revealed that no scientific hypothesis stands alone. Every theory relies on auxiliary assumptions. When data contradicts prediction, we can tweak the core theory or adjust the auxiliaries, and both moves can save our belief. This underdetermination shows that the same evidence may back multiple, even conflicting, theories undermining claims of absolute empirical certainty. Until 1963, philosophers defined knowledge as justified true belief. Then Edmund Gettier struck. He presented cases where someone has a perfectly justified true belief, yet only by accident. These thought experiments expose the JTB and fall prey to lucky coincidences, and that our neat definition of knowledge still misses something essential. Foundationalists argued that knowledge must rest on indubitable, basic beliefs, self-evident truths or sensory impressions. So certain they need no further justification. But what if those foundations themselves crack under scrutiny? If every belief depends on another, is there really a bedrock, or just an endless scaffold of assumptions? Relativists claim there is no single perspective on truth, only views shaped by culture, language, or individual experience. What seems certain to one may appear false to another. In a hall of mirrored convictions, certainty dissolves into plurality, and the very idea of objective knowledge trembles. Contextualists show that what counts as knowing can shift with the stakes. In low-risk conversations, "I know" feels casual. In life or death trials, the same claim demands ironclad proof. Knowledge talk, they say, adapts to context, so certainty is not one size fits all, but a flexible tool tuned to our needs. Coherentists reject isolated foundations, proposing instead that beliefs form a network, each supported by its neighbors. A belief is justified if it coheres with the whole web. But can a self-supporting web prove it's not spun from illusion? If every strand relies on the rest, who checks the entire structure? Internalists hold that justification depends on factors accessible to the thinker, reason she can reflect upon. Externalists insist that justification can hinge on reliable processes or connections outside awareness. Is knowing about reasons enough, or must we trust sources we can't inspect? The debate reaches to the heart of what it means to claim knowledge. Virtue epistemologists remind us that knowledge isn't just about facts or justification, it's about the knower's character. Traits like intellectual humility, courage, and attentiveness shape our capacity to discover truth. Yet virtues can falter under pressure. Will you admit ignorance or cling to pride? Our moral fiber becomes the soil where knowledge either flourishes or withers. We rarely know alone. From peer review in science to storytelling in communities, knowledge thrives in collaboration. Social epistemology examines trust, testimony, and collective practices that build and distribute understanding. But groupthink and echo chambers threaten this process, highlighting that true collective wisdom demands diversity and dissent as much as agreement. Miranda Fricker coined epistemic injustice to describe how prejudice silences or discredits certain voices, often women and marginalized groups. When testimony is dismissed, entire perspectives vanish, and our collective knowledge is impoverished. Justice demands we hear all voices, for no truth deserves to be muted. Michel Foucault taught that what counts as knowledge is shaped by power structures, epistemes, that define which ideas are accepted or suppressed. Institutions, discourses, and norms co-author our truths. To know, then, is also to critique, to question who set the rules and why. From Pyrrho's doubt to today's AI, the limits of knowledge remain a living dialogue. Each era reinvents skepticism and belief, weaving new threads into the tapestry of understanding. And though certainty may forever elude us, the journey to know, to question, to test, to reflect defines the very essence of human inquiry. Our minds crave coherence, so we latch onto evidence that confirms what we already believe and dismiss the rest as anomaly or error. Confirmation bias warps our perception, turning partial truths into whole stories. To overcome it, we must seek disconfirming data with equal zeal, yet doing so feels counterintuitive to our very nature. In the Stroop test, naming the ink color of a conflicting word trips us up, revealing that cognition is not a smooth operation, but a battleground of competing processes. If our brain sometimes cannot align meaning and perception within a single task, how can we trust its flawless operation in more complex judgments? In the digital agora, misinformation travels faster than corrections. Fake news exploits our cognitive shortcuts, emotional resonance over factual accuracy. Once a falsehood takes root, it resists uprooting. Combating it requires vigilance, media literacy, and perhaps a touch of epistemic humility, admitting we might have been fooled. Deepfake technology blurs the line between real and artificial videos, so convincing they can place words in anyone's mouth. In this age, our default trust in sight and sound falters. The skeptic's test becomes universal. Question every image, verify every voice, and remember that our senses can be masterfully deceived. Language models can craft prose that feels human, but they also hallucinate. confidently spitting falsehoods. These AI systems expose that pattern matching, no matter how sophisticated, cannot guarantee truth. They remind us that knowledge requires more than data. It demands context, understanding, and judgment that go beyond statistical echo. Online platforms often corral us into echo chamber spaces, where our existing views are reinforced and opposing ideas vanish into silence. In such chambers, certainty feels absolute, while doubt becomes alien. To break free, we must seek out the voices we disagree with and welcome the discomfort of cognitive friction. Advertisers and political operatives harness our data to craft personalized nudges so subtle we scarcely notice them. When choices are shaped not by reasoned debate, but by algorithmic persuasion, our autonomy erodes. Recognizing these invisible influences is the first step toward reclaiming genuine consent. Blockchain promises an immutable record of transactions and information, an antidote to tampering and revisionism. By anchoring data in decentralized chains, we can track the provenance of knowledge claims, from scientific papers to news articles. Transparency breeds trust, but only if we commit to the discipline of verification. Fact-checkers stand at the crossroads of truth and noise, painstakingly verifying claims in real time. Yet their reach is limited by attention spans and the speed of rumor. In the public square, we each share responsibility to pause before spreading, to seek reliable sources, and to value accuracy over immediacy. Perhaps the ultimate limit is embracing what we cannot know. The horizon of uncertainty stretches beyond sight, but the lantern of curiosity lights our way. To live wisely is to carry that light, acknowledging the shadows, yet daring to explore. For it is not certainty that defines us, but the courage to question and the humility to learn. We place faith in institutions, courts to apply justice, universities to generate knowledge, newsrooms to report facts. But when scandals erupt or biases surface, trust crumbles. Rebuilding confidence demands transparency, accountability, and a commitment to truth that transcends reputation. Only then can institutions guide us toward reliable knowledge. In many societies, public trust and expertise has waned. People turn away from experts toward influencers, and opinion driven by cynicism or convenience. Yet without shared standards of evidence, public discourse fragments, and collective understanding frays. Rekindling respect for informed voices is crucial to navigating uncertainty together. Education is our best defense against doubt's paralysis. Teaching critical thinking, how to evaluate evidence, recognize bias, frame good questions empowers learners to confront uncertainty with confidence. It's not about memorizing answers, but mastering the art of inquiry. Media literacy transforms consumers into detectives. By checking sources, verifying claims, and understanding framing, we resist manipulation. In the age of endless information, discernment becomes the keystone of knowledge and the bulwark against deception. In medicine, lives hinge on evidence, not anecdotes. When doctors ground decisions in rigorous trials and transparent data, patients can trust treatments. Yet when misinformation spreads, skepticism endangers health. Upholding standards of proof is not just academic, it's a matter of life and death. In politics, facts battle narratives. When politicians exploit emotion over evidence, we enter a post-truth era, one where belief trumps reality. Democracy depends on an informed electorate. Without it, consensus fractures and cynicism reigns. Holding leaders to evidence is not idealism, it's essential for collective decision-making. Climate science offers overwhelming evidence, but denial persists. When vested interests distort findings or drown out warnings, the limit of knowledge becomes a danger. We must listen to expertise and act on it, for in this case, ignorance threatens not just beliefs, but our planet's survival. In courts, prejudice can skew judgment, racial bias, confirmation bias, and flawed forensics. When evidence is filtered through prejudice, justice fails. Safeguarding impartial inquiry, open-minded juries, transparent methods, appeals based on new data is crucial to ensure knowledge truly informs verdicts. Each of us bears epistemic responsibility, choosing whether to scroll social feeds or dive into credible sources, whether to parrot rumors or verify facts. Knowledge isn't handed down, it's actively curated. Our daily choices shape not only our own understanding, but that of our communities. Perhaps the greatest limit lies in our own certainty. Intellectual humility, recognizing we might be wrong, that our beliefs may need revision, is the foundation of genuine knowledge. In admitting, "I don't know," we open the door to learning and connect with others in the shared pursuit of truth. Science thrives on scrutiny. Peer-reviewed scholars critically examining each other's findings serves as a safety net against error and bias. It transforms solitary claims into collective judgments, reminding us that knowledge is forged in the crucible of communal rigor, not solitary conviction. Open data initiatives tear down ivory tower walls, inviting anyone to inspect, replicate, or challenge research. Collaborative platforms accelerate discovery and democratize expertise. When knowledge is shared freely, its limits shrink and trust can spread as quickly as the data itself. Institutions guard the integrity of inquiry, funding research, enforcing ethical standards, retracting flawed studies. Accountability structures ensure that when mistakes occur, they're acknowledged and corrected. In this dance of oversight, knowledge remains dynamic, self-correcting, and resilient. Philosophy need not be confined to ivory towers. Public forums, podcasts, and community discussions bring epistemic reflection into everyday life. When we make critical inquiry a collective habit, we fortify society against gullibility and lay the groundwork for more informed choices. Knowledge isn't a destination, it's a lifelong journey. Cultivating curiosity, openness, and adaptability across our lives keeps our intellects agile against the unknown. Embracing continuous learning is the ultimate antidote to epistemic stagnation and the most powerful way to transcend the limits of what we know. Daring to know begins with admitting we may not. Intellectual humility lights our path through uncertainty, encouraging questions over assumptions. It invites us to peer into the darkness, confident that even a spark can guide us. Skepticism isn't cynicism, it's a discipline. We test our beliefs, revise our views, and refine our understanding through deliberate practices: inquiry, experiment, and reflection. In this shared spiral, our pursuit of knowledge becomes both rigorous and communal. To withstand waves of doubt and deception, we build resilience, robust institutions, critical education, transparent media, and vigilant citizens. This epistemic fortress isn't impenetrable, it evolves with every challenge, fortified by our collective commitment to truth. Now the journey turns to you. In a world where certainty forever eludes us, what will you choose to learn, to question, to trust? Each quest shapes not only your understanding, but the shared reality we build together. The limits of knowledge are not barriers, but invitations, beckoning us toward discovery, wonder, and the uncharted. Though we can never know everything, our relentless pursuit defines the human spirit. Let us continue onward, lanterns in hand, ever curious, ever humble, ever seeking.